Welcome to the Scaleup Valley podcast, where we bring the best of the best to help you scale your business from 1 million to 1 trillion. We are in a very special context, maybe a context of a lifetime, living a pandemic crisis all over the world. And we are here trying to bring you the best tools to navigate wartime, even if you are in an industry that is benefiting from the crisis, scaling up now. If you are not, preparing to scale up later, and maybe in a moment scaling down, but getting stronger after the crisis. So today we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Viviana Silva, the VP at ASPPA. Viviana, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. So thanks for inviting me to be here. It's a pleasure and an honor to me.
Likewise. And let's get to know a little bit more about yourself. You are based in Germany at the moment. You are Portuguese as myself. But I will let you explain a little bit more about yourself and about ASPPA.
Yes, so I will maybe start from this my childhood and Portuguese background, because I think it fits a little bit these war times and capabilities and skills that we need to have. So my background, my father, so he was a military and he was a soldier in the Portuguese colonial war. And I think he was detrimental for my education. So basically, he was always treating me equally as my brother. So he had no differences between, to be a girl. And so he always encouraged me and told me, okay, listen, you are as strong and intelligent as a boy, and you should never fear to fight them or even to compete with them. And so basically, he always cleverly divert me from typical girls' activities like playing with dolls and dancing ballet, and so encouraged me to go a little bit more for sportive activities, as for instance, also strategic like chess, and then later I was judo player and rowing. So I was high-level competitor in judo and rowing. And from this judo, so I think is really a good experience. So basically, we learn that you can fall 7 times, but you need to get up 8. You never give up. And it's really in judo, if you know the sport, you really fall down in the floor and then you need to continue. And so I think that for me was really a good basis, and to have this experience, this perseverance. And also now, after a while, so I became also chemical engineer, so also a little bit pushing the sense of the going for the STEMs. So my father, at the age of 12, put me in the first coding, Visual Basic coding.
Got it. Wow.
And always tries to, because he saw that, okay, the informatics will be the future, and he was always a little bit ahead and put it in this path. So I became chemical engineer, and after some experience as professor in Polytechnic Institute and then experience as business leader in a startup, I became then associated research in Porto University. And at the time, life was also going very well, so professionally and privately. So I had married and I got a son. But come the financial crisis in Portugal, and so both my husband and myself, we saw that we might be facing unemployment soon. We took the very difficult decision of moving to Germany with a 10-month-old son, a boy, and joined BSF, both of us. So in a totally foreign country, not speaking the language, but really thinking ahead, thinking in stability in our family and how we can cope with this situation. So
hats off for you.
Yeah, and okay, we leave our passions, our dream, our family behind, but we are here making the best out of it. So actually became another opportunity that maybe you didn't have if you were in a no crisis situation. So we need always to see the good aspects of crisis.
Absolutely.
And then ASPA was also a little bit the same situation. So I was part of ASPA, but not very strongly, because ASPA is Association of the Portuguese postgraduates in Germany, and is a non-profit organization. So we try to defend the interests of the Portuguese people in Germany. We try to make bridges between Portugal and the Portuguese community here, and also to promote the culture and our science and our networks. How I became VP? So actually, it was never planned. So I didn't have this goal of being so active and in the leadership of such an organization that is well cared here in Germany and also in Portugal by the ministers of science and technology and foreign affairs, and here in Germany by the embassy and the consulates. They really appreciate our work. But how it was this. So I was in the General Assembly in 2018, and suddenly it was supposed to be an election to elect the new board. And nobody took the move to be the leader. Nobody willing to do. And my friend Sophia told me, so she was a little bit more involved there, Viviana, if you don't do nothing, ASPA will die. And so basically this was for me, okay, a call for action. So, this sense of urgency. So we cannot let that happen. So I really took this kind of decision. Okay, I will do it. I know that is complex because it's volunteering. So we are not talking about your primary job or family, something that is come on top. And it needs courage to embrace this kind of commitment that you are giving. So, but I was also passionate, and I engaged my colleagues, and we just embraced this experience. So, yeah, that was our journey to come here to ASPA. So it's also prizes that led us to some steps and move forward.
What's a great way to start the show, and hats off for you, Viviana, and just to give context to the audience as well. So Viviana, as you said, has been working, and this one I didn't know, in a startup early on. She's also now working in a very large corporate, and going through, we discussed here a lot, also going through from 1B to 1.3 in revenues. We also discussed the scale-ups from 1 to 1 million to 100 million and 1B. And of course, in a moment of crisis, also representing a cause and helping a community going through this time with association. It's really an amazing background, an amazing guest to have on the show. And by the way, just to give some context, everyone is curious, and to give context also for the audience, we are recording this podcast on the 8th of April, because nowadays every single day counts and every single hour. So the context is changing so much. So we are discussing in the context of the 8th of April of 2020. How is it going in Germany with all those pandemic crises? As you know, UK and almost all Europe, Portugal, Spain, Italy is in lockdown. And I know that the lockdown in Germany at this time is not so severe.
Yes, that is true. So here the lockdown, it is not as severe. And I think that is because of the numbers that we see are quite positive generally in Germany. And but of course we have lockdowns even indirectly. So, and also we have the social responsibility to try to prevent. So don't trust the numbers. You never know.
Right.
Will change, and that is right now our concern. So is this really the risk already gone, or you need to continue to be careful? So the key aspect is that the schools are closed. So basically all kids are at home. So most of the companies, so, and in this case I'm talking now as a professional, so if you can, you are doing home office, so you work from home. And they try to implement the measures that for those that need to go to work and to to get in contact with others, that you have the safety measures in place. So you have a distance between people, you reduce the number of people in the room and many others, and protective equipment.
Got it.
So situation does not seem critical, but still you are living it. So even that you feel somehow kind of more protected, not so risky. But I got to know, so we had last week, a virtual meeting, so we need to adapt. So our association had a virtual meeting to try to reach some associates to try to understand if there are people that are being infected and if are needed. And actually, there was not the case, but we had we heard a story that was not so nice. So some people from the risk age, let's say, that above 60, they were not concerned about that. And so associate from ours offered to go with the dog out and that they will not be exposed. And they were kind of laughing. And sadly, we heard the news were not as good because both went to the hospital internated and we don't have news about them. So I think you cannot underestimate the risk. I think you need to be cautious and yes, to have the social responsibility to do your role and to adapt, to live with that and prepare.
Absolutely. And we always discuss in the show the 3 critical ingredients to scale that we believe are even more important during wartime. Those critical ingredients are radical focus, world-class leadership, and the culture of execution. Starting with radical focus. So a lot of companies and a lot of associations or nonprofit organizations, your case, are reassessing, seeing the context changing very rapidly every single hours. We were discussing every single day now. I think now it's almost every single day. In the beginning, it was almost every hour we were making decisions. So how did you define it, or how did you define the priorities in a very uncertain and always changing environment like the one we are living today?
Yes, so at the beginning, so we decided to, within the association, to cancel our events. And you're not as sure, as you said, Germany was in a good situation. You're not feeling that was so critical, but we felt that we have the responsibility to care about our community. And even in a situation that was not so clear that would be a close down or social isolation, we cancel our events. We prepare a newsletter for our associates to let them know about what is going on and what was our positioning on this situation. I will see that, informing them that we go live, that we'll do some kind of virtual meetings that they can join us. Also, in this situation, we have been in contact with the Portuguese consulate in Stuttgart and the Portuguese embassy in Berlin. So we are trying to support them to get some kind of protective equipment and sanitizers that we could send for Portugal. Because as you know, so we don't have as much as a chemical industry as here, although we are doing quite well and I'm proud of our so people there producing a lot what they can. But anyhow, so we are trying also to do here, and we are in strong contact. So I'm calling people and I'm asking colleagues in WhatsApp or there, do you have some suppliers? Do you know somebody? And so we put this in contact with the association. So we try to steer our network also within BSF. So I'm in contact with BSF Portuguesa. So to see if they can also manage to find, to get some also hand sanitizer through our site in Spain, because we don't have a production facility in Portugal. But I think we are trying to make this bridge, so even at a distance, we are trying to do what you can from here. And I would say that at crisis, for me at least, is not so difficult to see what is the urgent and important things to do. So I think if you don't panic, you can define more or less clearly. So you just need to listen to your heart and to observe and to get to know what is happening and discuss and iterate and just then do what is the right thing to do. And I think it's sometimes instinctively to do it. I don't know.
Exactly. That's a very good point, and to not overcomplicate things and thinking about too many scenarios that will also panic our thought process and our decision-making process. Completely agree. And discussing a little bit still of radical focus and world-class leadership, because I think that world-class leadership, and we have discussed it before in the show, it's about also giving hope, also being transparent about what we are living. This is not easy. This is maybe a crisis of a lifetime. But at the same time, there is life after crisis, and we need to live during crisis as well. So we need to stay optimistic, to stay focused. And for our organizations, we need to repeat the vision, the mission, and the values even more during those times, because this is the culture and this is the direction that we are going. And maybe as a social cause of an association, I would say it's even more important in a crisis situation. So how do you keep everyone positive and focused about the mission and the vision of the association in a context like this?
Yes, that is really a good question and a challenge question, let's say. So basically, as I told you, it was not so long ago. So ASPPA itself is a crisis because nobody wants to become in the command line of ASPPA. So basically, we took the decision on this assembly and to do it. So you need to be courage to go for the battle, and this is one of the key aspects. You need to, and even that you don't have the right people or the right skills. So
right.
And that was the case. So we are 6 people, and just Sophie had some experience and in the leadership of ASPPA before, and we are all newies here, and basically you take this. So I convinced some friends to do it, and you are now learning by doing. So of course you assess them. So we just jump on this battle, and we are trying. So from the beginning, we start doing our plan. So what is our priorities? You need to get the basics. You need to get the minimal resources to run the association. That is all the email, all the social media, all some bureaucratic aspects. Secondly, we need to have some funding, because you don't sell nothing. But you need to do something. You need to get support. So we derive and we apply for some programs, some new programs, and you apply for some funding, and you got, and now we are doing more things. But it's still not enough, and you need now to scale. So basically, you are an association, but in order to grow, we need to become more professionalized. You need to have employees. So, and this is a step that we are planning to do. And now the crisis a little bit was jeopardizing our goals, because the path forward now is not so easy. We need maybe to be patient and reinvent again in a short period, and reinvent ourselves. So we have some other ideas, and so we need just, okay, if you cannot, if you don't have eggs, you find something else in the fridge to cook, and you do it. And this is what you are doing. You don't get demotivated. Okay, things were not as expected, so we were trying to get out of our crisis, and suddenly you have another one, but you are adapting. So, and maybe it can create some good aspects. So we are planning to start going more virtual. So that would address one of our challenges. Just to understand, we are in Germany located. We are about 130,000 Portuguese in Germany, but you are highly distributed, so we cannot reach physically all our associates, and this is our main challenge. And maybe before we didn't consider to to go so much in the digital world. And now you are forced to do it. I think it was obvious that we need to do it, but we don't have the capabilities.
Exactly.
Now this crisis put in the way that we already discussed and just enforce the path that we needed to take. And yes.
That's amazing. And something that I'm seeing in another organizations is, for instance, people, imagine that we are trying to go global and to new countries with different cultures in different offices, and having a leadership team together usually is a big temptation for an organization. So having everyone in the same office in the same city. Nowadays, in this new context, it doesn't matter where you are. The only thing that might be a trouble is if the time zones are too different. If one is in the US, another one is in Asia. So this might be a little more difficult to collaborate. But if you are in Germany or you are in Spain or Italy or the UK, it's exactly the same, because even if you are one house close to another house, it is exactly the same, because you can't go out and you should stay at home. So I think that this is helping a lot organizations to have a much more global and local approach simultaneously. Do you feel the same?
Yes, I feel the same. For one side, I agree with you, but you needed to see that the associations also are facing challenges. Just to bring the context, the typical traditional association in Germany and maybe in France as well, or other countries, is that they are local, so they are neighbors, and they build this community. They normally have a physical location where we go there, you play some cards, you have some Portuguese food, you have some
Got it.
and then you are based in the typical activities, like can be a football association, can be a folklore association, can be so our traditional things from Portugal. And but also in these cases, we heard that there is a crisis, and ASPPA, it was formed in 2012. And so it starts with a totally different concept. It's not a regional association, it's a global one. But of course, start with, I think, in Berlin with a nucleus, and then create another session in other regions. And our region in Rhein-Neckar is the youngest one. So it was launched in 2017. By Sophia, that actually came from Berlin and initiated here. So we had already a Portuguese community, but unofficial. And so she joined us, and then suddenly we became part of this new sector. In this crisis, so I agree that it's very attentive to be all in all location together, and it was our decision. So our association, because also was the circumstance, we needed to form a team there at the time in this location, and so we were all from the same region. And this was what enabled us to fight and to take the leadership and to fight. But as you said, we are now facing that is not enough. So it's very comfortable to be. And if the companies feel that this is a comfortable situation, but it's not the best for the growth. So we need to be globally, you need physically as well. So, and for that, what you are now trying to do is to,
No worries.
What we are now trying to do is really to first be present in different regions, to recruit more people, to engage them, because we need that locally these associations are alive, because just steering from distance is not enough. So people still rely on getting somebody that they know. So you needed to play in both. So you need to play regionally, so to have people, some kind of catalysts that can act there in the community, and then you need to steer globally these communities. But if you don't make these bridges with the regions, we are not going too far. So, and this is what we are living and feeling. So this is our now challenge, because you are very centralized here, and yes.
Yeah. We are becoming even more distributed and more local. A good example of that is that we are bringing Chinese scale-up and corporate leaders for the upcoming episodes, because they are kind of 16 weeks ahead of us. So everything that we'll be facing in the next 16 weeks, they've been facing in the last 16 weeks. So this best practice exchange is really, really important. So stay tuned. We also had, for the ones who didn't recognize, we also had Marcel Lou, the president of BASF Canada, on the show, which is also some weeks behind, or 1 week maybe, or some days behind Europe on what we are facing. So we have discussed radical focus, we have discussed world-class leadership, the differences between navigating wartime and peacetime. We also kind of discussed, introduced the culture of execution stuff. So how to manage an organization that it was much more centralized and now needs to be more decentralized in the new context. So what is changing in terms of rhythm? So the meetings are not, I believe, in person nowadays. Do you have any kind of weeklies, dailies? So how is changing your environment in terms of rhythms and in terms of culture of execution?
Yes, in terms of rhythm, so we just break our routine. So we do our normal, regular jour fixe. We maintain the normal jour fixe, but alternatively try to go out from the real world and so to digitalize or to make a digital twin. So let's say we keep some virtual cafes and times and slots that each one grabs a coffee and just have a pep talk with the colleagues and some exchanges. We keep happy hours, some virtual happy hours with some other colleagues that are not from so our like let's say friends or associations. So we had a ladies' night before year and they keep it because also some ladies have moved back to Portugal, but you keep it through so web conferencing and so we keep doing the same things that not everything is disrupted. So don't lose the social contact at all. But more than that, I think is you need to do much more than you are doing, because you need to care not just for your family, for your kids, because you have the kids at home. You need to care about them, to teach them, to give them support and to get them motivated as well. You need to care about others. So basically, don't forget the people that are in Portugal. So right now, I remember my family. I have still my grandparents that are more than 90, so 5, and of course they are concerned. I have my parents at home, so try to call them. Also, but also not forget people that are here and they are isolated. So our members and friends that so sometimes they are single and also it's not easy for them to in this circumstance. So if you have some energy, so you do your things, you prioritize, but try to find some extra energy to care about others, to show that you are there, because you never know who needs help. And just if you reach them and try to get how they are, you get to know how good they are, if they need to talk or. So I think the rhythm is more intense and but it's also extraordinary situation and need to excel ourselves to try to cope with everything. And yes, try to find, if you are getting also negative, try to find somebody that can pep you and give some nice words. And I think, we are understanding so that you cannot, as a society, be so isolated or so egoistic and focus on our own goals and KPIs. We need to act together and protect each other and to be there for each other, because this will be the success to go out and then to start back again.
Absolutely. That's an amazing way we come to the last question of the show, and one of our favorites, which is, if you'd have the opportunity to come 8 years behind when you move it to Germany, what advice, and if you had the opportunity to meet yourself at that time, what advice would you offer to your younger self?
So if I would go back some years ago, first I would say don't focus only on work. So actually I did that, but still I would reinforce the message. It's important, but there are also other priority things. Don't think that these things are always waiting for you, because you have the tendency, when I have time, I go to visit my family or this friend, and sometimes you understand that some days are weeks and weeks are months, and then you realize for 1 year you don't have done some things or talk with some people. So, and I think this was the sense of, let's say, the wake-up call that I had now. So that you never know, because now we are isolated. If something happens in Portugal, it will be much more difficult to go there and to support, and so we cannot fly. And this is a little bit scary that happens, but luckily, so I think you try to be in contact with others. Don't lose the focus on what really matters. So sometimes you are a little bit so focused on career, other things, that you forget that. And
Amazing. Viviana, thank you so much for making the time to share your experience with us, and thanks for being a great example in this crisis and inspiration. If anybody would like to support this association and this cause, you can reach out to Viviana via LinkedIn and connect with her, and I'm sure she would be very happy to talk with you. Viviana, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Mike, for the opportunity, and I would like to say some few words to who will listen. So if you want to contribute, if you want to be part of supporting now in this crisis, Portugal and the Portuguese community, just reach us, and so we'll put in contact and try to see what is the necessary support, and I will be really happy to hear more from you. Thanks.
Awesome. And to our community, thanks for being on that side. We keep bringing you the best of the best and the best tools to navigate wartime. And as we discussed it today, don't forget to stay healthy, and at the same time to contribute to the society around you, so we can be stronger at the end of this crisis. So stay healthy and keep scaling.